Greetings, this is the Shadow Man. So last week there was G20 Summit in Hamburg, and half of the city was burned down by Western civilized hooligans. But the main event of the summit was the meeting between President Putin and President Trump. The meeting lasted almost 2.5 hours instead of the planned 30 minutes. Prior to the meeting, the revolting US news channel MSNBC have launched several items about how Russia probably meddled in US and what a mafia state Russia is, how the opposition leaders are being mistreated, while those opposition leaders are criminals in real life. So the usual bullshit. The US Senate Swamp Things were very unhappy about how positive the meeting between President Putin and President Trump went. So they started to implement extension of sanctions against Russia as quickly as possible. And every time the name of the same three senators popped up: McCain, Graham, and Rubio. The three frustrated fossils who still need therapy for the fact that neither of them was able to win a presidential election while a total outsider did, are really desperate for an armed conflict with Russia. Everyone can see that from a mile away. As long as you don't have liberal disease. And then, just a couple of days ago, the US went full moron once again about the meeting between Trump's son Donald Trump Jr. and a Russian lawyer. Instead of explaining this usual bucket of nonsense, I want to look at all of this from a different angle. Let's say Russia meddled in US election. In that case, USA finally got the taste of its own medicine. During the whole of 1990s, US was meddling inside the whole of Russia, stealing state secrets, trying to rewrite Russian history using Soros, putting Russia on debt dependency, funding and arming Chechen terrorists and calling them freedom fighters. Also, US pretty much was in charge of Yeltsin's 1996 presidential campaign, where there was even a movie made about it in 2003 called Spinning Boris. And I'm not even speaking of countless other nations where US full-on changed governments and tried to isolate countries because they refused to be a US lapdog, like Cuba, for example. And now that US experienced meddling themselves, they didn't like it at all. Oh, how sad. Well, maybe you now know how the other countries feel when you try to screw them up, and will stop doing it completely from now on. But I highly doubt it. Enjoy!